Good to see you. Back in December, you used the words regrettably diminishing the virtues of the game and the meaningful legacies of those who built it. You said you were disappointed, presumably because of the golfers who left their jobs and went into business with the Saudis, responsible, of course, for 9/11, the murder and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi, terrible, abysmal human rights violations. So now they're here, obviously. You've got 18 here. The picture last night was 6 of them. Are you at all concerned that you are actually helping the Saudis sports wash because of their joy in seeing a picture like that last night? Are you helping them actually sports wash their reputation?
Well, let me go back. Let me go back to our statement, and then we'll go. That was a long question, Christine, but I'll try to start from the beginning. Our statement in December, and particularly the comment that these actions had diminished the virtues of the game. I want to make a couple of points. First is, I know many of these players who are no longer on the PGA Tour. Some of them I would consider friends. So anything I might say is not a comment, a personal comment against their character or anything else. What I was trying to point out was that, and I alluded to it in my comments, that the platform that these players have built their careers on were based on the blood, sweat, and tears of their predecessors. People like Ben Hogan and Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, Tiger Woods. I have the privilege of being a partner in a law firm that's 180 years old. And we exist today because of many generations of lawyers who thought it was important to leave our organization better than they found it. And so this is just my personal opinion. Doesn't mean that everyone has to think this way. So my comment in December was really more that I was expressing some disappointment that these players were taking the platform that had been given to them, that they rightly had earned success on, by the way, and moving to another opportunity, perhaps not thinking about who might come behind them. As it relates to your comment about sports washing, I certainly have a general understanding of the term. I think it's for others to decide exactly what that means. These were personal decisions of these players, which I, at a high level, don't necessarily agree with. But it really wasn't intended to go beyond that.
Alan.
Chairman, we've seen the leaders of the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour here this week. Did the club extend an invitation to Greg Norman in his capacity as LIV's commissioner, and what considerations went into whatever decision you all reached?
We did not extend an invitation to Mr. Norman. The primary issue and the driver there is that I want the focus this week to be on the Masters competition, on the great players that are participating, the greatest players in the world, which by our decision in December, we ensured that we were going to honor and be consistent with our invitation criteria. I would also add that in the last 10 years, Greg Norman has only been here twice, and I believe one of those was as a commentator for Sirius Radio. But it really was to keep the focus on the competition.
Ben.
Mr. Chairman, I want to follow up on the Greg Norman question from earlier. Greg spoke in Australia last week and he said he doesn't think he'll ever be welcome back at Augusta. Can I get your response to that?
I'm not sure I understood that.
Greg spoke in Australian media last week, Greg Norman, and said he doesn't think he will ever be welcome back at Augusta. Welcome back here.
Are you asking, will he ever be welcome back?
Yes. I just want to get your response to that.
I mean, it's hard to answer that question because, I don't know, where the world's going to be next year or 2 years from now. But as I stated, I would never say never. But I told you why he had not been invited this year. I think that, as I said in my comments, I'm hopeful. I've noticed a tone. The tone has been really good here this week. I've noticed that players are interacting. Last night at the Champions Dinner, I would not have known that anything's going on in the world of professional golf other than the norm. So I think, and I'm hopeful that this week might get people thinking in a little bit different direction, and things will change. So I would never say never, no.
Mr. Chairman, the qualifications changes we'll see in a little while are regarding PGA Tour, and many of the qualifications are sort of in partnership with the PGA Tour. Has there been any consideration for other pathways for some other world tours like the Europe or Japan to get in other than just the world rankings?
Yeah, we actually have discussed that. And that may well be something we do in the future. We really want to make sure that the Masters tournament field is representative of the best players in the world. So we're constantly looking at those possibilities. Our conclusion for the time being is that the official world golf rankings is a really good way to invite players. It's an objective criteria based on data-driven analytics. It's consistently applied, and I think most would agree it's a good system.
The majority of players, I would say, who've been in this room this week have suggested more often than not they'll be laying up on the 13th this week. Do you have any concerns that we won't see as much drama or excitement in that hole as we have in previous years?
Well, I think a lot of that really depends on the weather. I've anecdotally, have information from several players that have played practice rounds in the fall and early spring. I played 2 weeks ago with Scotty Scheffler. He had a 5-iron into the hole one day. So while I think you may be right that the data will show that more players will lay up, I think for a still large number who will go for the green in 2, I think it's going to be a much more challenging, a much more exciting shot. And I certainly look forward on Sunday to having someone in competition with a 3 or 4 iron in their hand, or even a hybrid, hitting a shot into the 13th hole rather than an 8-iron. So I think on balance, it's going to prove to be the right decision.
Gary.
Mr. Chairman, in 2019, the Masters was played in the aftermath of the release of the Distance Insights report. You were asked then about hole number 13, and you also said, and this is what you said then, that my preference would be to see what happens with the governing bodies and what they decide is best for the game. Then we will take the appropriate action in response to that. This modified local rule is their action. And as you mentioned, you're going to respect the comment period. Is your position, though, to support this proposal?
Our position has always been that we support the governing bodies. I think in a general sense, we do support the proposal, but because it's in the middle of a comment period, it could change. The whole purpose of the comment period is to take input from the industry, and so we will look at the final product and then make a decision. But generally, we have always been supportive of the governing bodies. I've stated that we believe distance needs to be addressed, so I think the natural conclusion is yes, we will be supportive.
I was thinking of the garment itself, the actual green jacket. If you have any memories about, obviously you won one. But
I remember I was really happy when I got one. But the green jacket does have a great history, and I think it's a story that we've tried to tell a little more in a little more detail in the recent years, and as I think we've dedicated a part of our golf shop to the story of the green jacket, and it's something that not only it's a privilege to wear one, but it's something certainly. I know there were about 32 people in a room last night who value that very much, and I think that, we talk about all these issues in golf, but we're here this week, and these 88 players, that's all that's in their mind is playing for that green jacket. So it's a great symbol of celebration of this game, and we're looking forward to seeing someone have it, donning it on Sunday afternoon.